you have a deep experience in Python, and also since we initially worked together, you went a lot into AI, right?
Yeah.
So what initially got you into Rust? Where did that interest come from? I think you told me about, learning a compiled language, the performance. But yeah, basically, what made you join the cohort and take it to the next level?
Um, I well, I was we've been learning. So, I started out in Python. I don't know, years ago. I always had the desire to. When I didn't start out as a traditional CS graduate and going right into computer science. Like I was in product most of my career to that, to date before, up until like 8 years ago. Always been fascinated. I kind of when I started really just doing professional programming full time, and I realized what a wide open, endless, fascinating sort of plain, expansive area that programming is, software is, and just there's just so much around it. I always had the desire to learn a little of that language, so I bought the original ASCII C book, which you can still find. I got a used copy. I looked at I started doing I did a bunch of stuff in C. I've been told by people before I ever met you, Bob, like years ago, like by developers who was like seriously old school. I'm like, what language should I learn if I really want to understand? And they're all like, you should learn C. I'm like, it
Hmm.
was as your first language. Anyway, so I did C, and I was like, I kind of dropped it, and then because I was doing Python, and I was working in Python, and then I picked up Go. Like that's another little, does concurrency, a little language, and I kind of dropped that too. So I have the books here. Um,
Yeah.
and the thing about Rust was it had an R around it within the Python community, and also more and more important things in Python started to get built with it, right?
Yeah.
We had the rough, we had rough, and then Pydantic version 2, I think, was
Yeah.
and you'd see. I remember using the rough formatter and just seeing it go through like tens of thousands of lines of code. It's so fast. I'm like, this is
Instantly.
what's
Yeah.
happening? So
Yeah.
if you spend all day in Python, you become very aware of things that are in Rust, being pulled into Python. And so there was a kind of like, I need to be people I respect and I work with, and I know like you are really paying attention to this thing, and so I need to understand. So I did a couple like a year and a half ago. I got the Rust book, whatever version that was, and I did some online stuff, and then again it was just like I kind of realized, oh, there's enough new here that I need to do it. It's like when I first met you, Bob, like 7 years, I don't know, 6 years ago,
Long
7.
time ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I had gone as far as I could. I was like by myself doing, online and books, and I just I needed your mention, like, to get me out of my own sort of um, like I guess like help break through to the next level. So, and I realized with Rust, there was so little I could just sort of like go into. Like I can, I spend time in Node and JS and React, and that's much easier transition coming out of
Yeah.
Python. And so it was just like, and then the fact that you were doing it, like I mean, I had great experience with you. It was a no brainer, actually.
Yeah.
The
Nice.
long answer to your question.
Yeah. So compiled, hard language to learn, timing with all these libraries, and also recognized from before when you did that Python
Yeah,
sprint, right? That the coaching would get you there faster, which turned out
yeah,
to
I
be.
knew,
Yeah.
no question. Yeah, I desire also to know another language, be really truly confident in another language besides Python, um, and not be a one-trick pony. I mean, I think there's a lot of that. And when I start to meet people who have real experience, it's like, okay, yeah, there's a there's a fluidity, a kind of easiness around as you understand more languages, more paradigms, and sort of
Yeah.
your skill set gets augmented with concepts that may be new to you from a language. Um, it
Yeah.
just becomes easier to feel confident, and also to talk, to have a better understanding. And like now I have the functional programming book in Scala book because of your post, and I'm looking at getting more into functional programming. So it's just, if you're a lifelong learner, you have the time, and you
Yeah.
have a job you like, and it's
I
just a
I
wonderful
need to
thing.
go back to that book. That sounds interesting, but I can imagine that that's now easier to digest after seeing functional patterns in Python and in Rust as well, right? And overall, with Rust being more about the data flow,
Yeah,
and not even having OOP per se, right? That now is easier, and new computer concepts are now easier to grasp after first learning
100%.
Python and now going deep with Rust.
Yeah, 100%. Like traits in Rust, I thought those were a new concept. I mean, actually, they were in Scala had traits before Rust. They're more powerful in some ways, so the stackable, mixins, etc., abstract type numbers. Um, so yeah, so you said you begin to see like, I mean, the bad analogy would be like somebody who's a like a polyglot, speaks many languages, like you do actually,
Mm,
right? You say,
mm,
I I speak German and English, and I can kind of I get a sense for Dutch that way, and you realize that some languages have concepts, words that don't the meaning of which don't exist as words in other languages, and so it kind of augments your sense of the world. And I think this is
yeah,
it's programming languages are a little different, but yes, I think there's a kind of ease and I also like I do want to the performance aspect of Rust was very important to me because I mean I work like where I do these agentic workflows all day, and I'm like I'm sure some part of this could be faster.
yeah,
And so I actually did go a little rogue and drop Rust into one of my Python programs to do like, and I wrote about in the Rust of the Chuck checkpoints article, but I just wanted to make string matching is way faster in Rust because it's a character type, right? Partly.
mm,
So I was able to do pattern matching and string matching at like a 12x speed up over Python. And that helps my other work too. So there's a definite um, payoff there in terms of my day to day.
nice. So you're already taking things back, right? I mean, you're already kind of working with it, but now I guess you double down on what you actually can do with Rust, and you're taking it back to your daily work.
Yes, I am very focused, and I did some research, like what things could be sped up about where are choke points in typical workflows in agentic work or whatever Python that where Rust really makes a difference. And it's not everywhere. It's not like in the IO, it's not necessarily. It's like a lot of stuff in AI is inference or inference calls, model call,
Hmm.
waiting for a response. But there are areas. Yes, so definitely that was super important to me. Like that it wouldn't be just a one-off kind of project, and I wouldn't come back to it, but I could pull it in somehow. Um, yeah,
Yeah, that's what
yeah.
I want people to take away from our coaching. You work hard. It's a 6 week thing, but then it's not over, and it's not just another course you just stacked up and you got a few bites out of. Like this is real world stuff. We want people to then take away and keep using and using more. Like overall, make their workflows more proficient and drive people's careers as well through that. Right. So
Yeah, exactly. I think one of the things to do, if you're a Python, another reason to do it is that yes, you want to pull it into your work and make your work better, but also it's a differentiator. There are a lot of people out there who are like Python developers, and they're just Python developers. Um, I heard some stat, which I can't imagine is true, but like half of the people um, doing Python professionally are like started in the last 2 years. I don't know if that's true, but
mm,
there are it's a meaningful I don't know what you call it, but multiplier for your career for what you can do, especially if you can just get some Rust. Like I dropped 170 lines of Rust into a otherwise completely Python based application,
mm,
and then I wrote an article about it, and people were like, you get it noticed in a way um, that's very beneficial. And it's a differentiator. No, I'm not going to say I'm an expert in Rust and put it in my resume like I'm a Rust expert, but if you've got something out there you wrote, it's a project, it's something you can point to that's got Rust in it. That's a big deal. That's pretty rare still.
yeah. I agree. Many Pythonistas and just overall the trend as well that just Python. I mean, it's still valuable, but it's now always Python plus something. So it's Python plus AI, Python plus DevOps, Python plus ML,
Yeah,
and Python plus Rust. Right? It seems like the demands are going up. Maybe also because of AI, right? Where Python is now easier to do with AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a very good skill to add. Makes a lot of sense. But it's also making the double win is that it also makes your Python better. Like, have you now you're going back to your Python, and are you more skeptical about open doors and mutability, overly use of classes? What are you seeing? What are you refactoring after this experience,
I'm
or looking for, or being annoyed by even?
I'm annoyed. I mean, the verbosity of Python.
Oh,
I
that's
think.
funny. I thought Rust was verbose.
You think Rust is verbose? No. Ru-
Well,
no.
well, maybe at the start of the code, maybe after at the end, you get to a very concise, clean syntax. That's also true.
Well, actually, it's funny. My Rust is verbose because I put comments in line to remind myself what I was doing. So yeah, it's longer than it should be. Well, no, I mean, I think there's a good Python. The emphasis on typing and type checking.
Mm.
Python is really like, and now we have string enums, right? With and with three. When did protocols come in? Protocols.
Yeah, 3.8 maybe.
Oh, that's that long ago.
Not, I'm not sure, but it's not that new, I think.
I'm sort of maniacally now focused on types in Python. And
Mm.
so I like I think I find an overuse now looking at my own code, overuse of third-party libraries where I could just use a standard library. It's kind of a laziness thing. I do think there are third-party libraries that make typing. So I guess my takeaway in my Python work is to look at typing um, to have immutable as much as possible immutable
Hmm.
objects. A lot of what I do is like, these LangGraph is a type state machine with checkpointing. It tends to be the orchestrator for a lot of agentic workflows. I will use types dicts frozen data classes or pydantic models for that, just because of the type excellence.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to. There are state changes, but I want to make sure that they're understandable.
Yeah.
I wrote this. I don't know if it'll get eclipsed by whatever LangGraph rolls out, but just that I become with Rust's insistence on compile time cleanliness. I become a little more obsessed with things that leak along the way in
Hmm.
Python
Hmm.
workflows. Like, it's very possible that you can have a LangGraph so set up with many nodes. Like, nodes in LangGraph are essentially functions that, right, that take, in my case, they take pydantic models as input and have a defined output. But for example, if you have a process, say you have your tool you built at work allows a user to upload a PDF, and then it extracts in a RAG fashion data from that PDF, and you can give instructions along the way. There's going to be probably a LangGraph workflow where you're going to have nodes, which are these functions that do things along the way and then change the state. It's possible to have sort of malformed data get returned in one of those checkpoints, but not get caught until later. And so there's kind of a leakiness that's possible within these
Yeah.
workflows. And so I've just become, I think, giving me a general sense of like, there needs to be bounded contracts for these things. You need to make sure that there is, we're really truly observing at what's happening, because it's not really I'm not sure it's a side effect in the functional programming sense, but there are many side effects that are really hard to detect in complex LLM workflows. And so
Right.
I built something to sort of a PyPI package to post Strelmo to deal with that. Just as an exercise, I would not have done that without having done the Rust. So I think that's like
Yeah.
one of the byproducts. That makes sense.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great reflection as well. Like errors rippling through and stricter boundaries. Yeah, you're gonna get around the compiler, right? It's
Defined error states. Yeah, exactly. That's one of the things that Rust taught me. Defined error states are not really necessarily a thing in a LangGraph. You can look at the traces or whatever in Langsmith, but you might not know exactly what happened. It could be a contract violation or cost thing. Anyway, I'm getting too abstract because I'm not showing something, but
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, just a yeah. I have not yet gone through all of our uh, production code and rewritten it with that in mind, but not the only
Yeah.
one working on it.
Yeah.
But yes, certainly a concern for a sensitivity to the leaky parts, whether it's mutability or something else within Python is I have a
Yeah,
higher.
that's sneaky, right? Because I was doing this tip on a frozen data class, and you think it's immutable, but then you can still have a list attribute in there that you can append, so it's not really immutable. So, by at least making the data class frozen, that's the right step. It's a step in the right direction, right? But it's still not 100%. But Rust, you just often notice it's so strict that again the compiler is just going to catch it, right?
Yeah, it feels like Python's creeping towards some paradigm shift with all these type related changes, right? Like
Hmm.
it's kind of it's not ever going to be statically typed, but maybe, but it's I don't know. It's
It's also a different philosophy, right? Like Python always has been the glue language, the second best language, the language to
yeah,
quickly prototype something to get it working. It's awesome, right? Like you can get up to
it's
speed with
amazing.
it so fast, and it's so readable. It's like English, right? But that has its price, but it's totally understandable. Hence
Yeah,
that contrast with Rust, the strict compiler. It's so
yeah,
refreshing as well for us scripters, right? So it's then you have best of both.
yeah, exactly. It's true. Yeah, it feels like rigor. I was wondering, like, well, TypeScript came out of like JavaScript's need for better typing, and that's a terrible. Maybe that's not true, but TypeScript, when I look at it, feels like a very very typed version of JavaScript. Um,
Hmm.
I was wondering if Python, would there be some version of Python like that? I don't think so at this point, um, but anyway, yeah, you're right. There. I mean, to have both is the best. What would you if you're gonna do a third language? So you have Python, obviously, Rust. Is there a third one you pick at this point?
I mean,
You-
depends, right? Like for web development, JavaScript
Oh yeah,
is a
React. Yeah,
must. I think even if you use abstractions, I think you just need to know JavaScript for the web. Um, but then
right.
I hear
Or
a lot
front
of
end frameworks. Yeah,
yeah, but not being tied to web development, hearing a lot of good things about Go as well, right? That would be easier to learn, but then you still have the garbage collector, right? So
yeah,
that could be. Well, Jim definitely says that that's a downside for him, right? He doesn't want a garbage collector. He wants to manage his memory, so he has to stay in Rust. So yeah, I don't know, but then you're reading that functional book about Scala. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's good to always learn new things, but yeah, if you seriously invest in a language, I chose for Rust.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
That makes a ton of sense. Yeah.
that,
Have you thought about writing? Now I'm interviewing you. Have you thought about writing like a full Rust? I mean, it would be nice to be able to write the next Pydantic or UV or Rust where it just solves a problem in Python. But I don't know what those things would be. But have you thought
right
about doing a full on Rust
library.
library that would be in PyO3 importable or
Yeah, I
bindable?
mean, you kind of did it with the cohort, right? But maybe
Yeah,
something like more real world ish.
I yeah.
Yeah,
I actually
I mean,
thought
like,
about putting mine into a PyPI package and calling it C2 JSON,
right.
cohort 2 JSON.
You can
Yeah,
always do that, right? Like
yeah,
you
yeah,
can upload to PyPI. But yeah, if I haven't, one thing I was thinking about, like a code quality, a fast code quality checker. Now with all the regressions in AI code and stuff,
oh yeah,
and there are already tools for that, like Complexify. But that will be a fun tool because you can, similar to Rough and tools that need to traverse a lot of files that will be very fast.
yeah,
So that's an idea, but I just need to. But yeah, I agree. Like building a bigger library will be the best exercise, right? To really get into all the nuances. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Or do a Rust implementation of Python.
And you probably need some crates as well. I think Rough pulls in AST parsing crates as well, right? It's not that you're going to write every part
Right,
yourself, right?
right.
Yeah.
God forbid. Yeah.
Nice. Well, this is super insightful and fun. Maybe the last question, because I looking through the list, and I think we hit everything from multiple angles. Um, Before Pythonistas starting to look into Rust, I mean, the code isn't a good option because it does go from scratch. But apart from joining the cohort, what are some tips for people brand new to Rust, how to get started, where to best go, and maybe also what mindset to adopt to learn this, because it's not easy, right?
Right. For Python specifically, you're asking? Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe any scripters, but most of
Yeah.
the people we that follow us are Python people. Yeah.
I think yeah, I thought about this one a lot um, when you sent the questions. The let yourself off the hook, especially if you're really proficient and deep in Python. Let yourself off the hook. It give don't just it's really hard to do, but don't have expectations for yourself. And I don't mean that don't try hard and think you're going to do well. It's more like um, I remember when I was learning I lived in Germany when I was 18 with the only host family for a year, only host family that didn't speak English, I think, in the whole country. And it was just like it was painful. And at some point I realized to make progress in the language, I had just to be okay sucking. And so
Right.
I had a friend, so I would just make all these mistakes. And I was like, just you can correct me, but I got over that um, it's almost like or unconscious, subconscious. It's hard to determine. It's like I had to really with Russ. I'd be like really like, am I just like blocking myself somehow?
Mm-hmm.
So let yourself off the hook. Give yourself some breathing space. It's unless you're like gifted, like especially gifted, like it's gonna be hard. There's enough different about it um, that it might require and I don't want to extrapolate from my one experience into like not necessarily a general truth for everybody, but I think I found it very useful to just like give myself a break, let myself on the hook. If I fell behind, be okay with it. Um, and then just if things that really weren't sticking, just I would just grind through them until like, okay, I think I get it. Try to get something working. It was yeah, that it was more of I guess a mindset sort of thing I would suggest. Like people
Yeah.
you talk about beginner's mind, right? Um, you start something new. It's really hard to start something new in an adjacent field when you're already really good at something else. Like for me to
Mm-hmm.
start like to learn how to play baseball well, it would be just it's not like I'm great at something. I'm a good skier. So I'm a good skier. For me to learn snowboarding would be a misery because I will be terrible at it. And be like, why don't I just go skiing? For example, I had that feeling in like all the way every time I tried to learn C or Go or even Rust before this,
Mm-hmm.
I would be like, I would be like, I don't get this. This is hard. I'm up late. I have other work, and it would just be like, mm, it was just. I didn't really go into beginner's mind. In other words, like where like just go into it and just whatever comes at you, however hard it seems, just don't worry about it. Just keep going. And you guys made it that easy. Like you were very supportive. But
Yeah. Thanks. No, I'm
yeah,
happy to hear that. Yeah, I think it's definitely can be crippling, right? If you set your standards too high, but if you can just allow yourself to fail and take it as an experiment, and nobody's
life.
actually really looking at what you're doing anyway, right? That's all like self imagination. Then it's cool. But I guess also doing the cohort and paying for it and showing up, then at least you have that accountability. Otherwise, it's very easy to drop a goal if it's not clear. Like one thing that worked for
Yeah,
me, I did like a month of Rust, and well, it was actually going to be infinite, but I kind of burned out after a month. But I did manage to like do a couple of projects, ship a couple of crates, and then do like a daily post, and that burned me out because I was blogging so much.
yeah,
But I ended up with a log of 30 or so posts, and I was pretty happy that I could do that in a month. So that was kind of my project. So if you have at least a clear goal, right, which
absolutely.
the
Yeah,
cohort gives you, that will help. But yeah, I agree with the mindset as well. Like don't be too hard on yourself, and allow yourself to fail and look dumb, because it's something new, and it's definitely not easy.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And also, maybe go into it. If one goes into it, I think it was just like, this is like a cool hobby thing, or I'm going to try this out. It's harder when it does get hard, and you're like, I can spend more hours in this, or I could not. I could go to bed, whatever. It's easier to put in the extra hours when you can be like, no, this is relevant to my life, to my professional life, and to my work. Because so I
Mhm.
identified particular things I thought I could bring back into my Python work around agentic workflows,
Mhm.
the overused term. Um, so having pre-identified those a little bit allowed me to keep going when it got really hard. So I was like, no, you're not. This is not just learning how to do pottery or make a, this is like, it is relevant to your. There's a, like, I went to a graduation, my niece's graduation last week at Forum, and the speaker made the point of like, it was Hoda Kotb from Today Show. She's a media person. Anyway, she gave some tips, and the tips were really counterintuitive and brilliant. And one thing she said, everyone tells you to find your passion, and it doesn't give you any other sort of like framework for that. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
figure out what you love to do, and you will get paid to do. People will pay
Mm.
you to do. Those two things line up. So there's always that reassurance when you're doing something really hard and new and spending time on it. It's not your main thing, like this. It's like, no, this is relevant to my other work, and this will have benefits down the road. It already has for me. There's no question. It's like,